Hello friends, myself Dr. P P Wani from Gokhale Education Society's RS Support College of Engineering, Management Studies and Research Nasik welcome you all in video lecture series for engineering chemistry on water technology. From this video, you will able to learn what are the drawbacks of hard water in generation of steam. Means if you are using the hard water in generation of steam, what are the disadvantages? And some of the disadvantages, that is overall four disadvantages are there in use of hard water for generation of steam. In this video, we will able to learn first ill effect disadvantage called as a sludge and scales, and you will have to learn these sludge and scales in terms of what are the causes, prevention and disadvantages. Overall drawbacks of this hard water for generation of steam, I think hard water is used for the different purposes like domestic purpose as well as industrial purpose. In case of domestic purpose, when you see, I think water is used for the washing. When this water is used for the washing, what happens? This sticky precipitate adheres to the fabric cloths. Means whatever hard water contains calcium and magnesium, it forms the sticky precipitate, it adheres to the fabric cloths and give the spot and streaks. Generally, iron salt stains on the cloths, means that is the drawback. If you are using this water for bathing, what happens? It produces sticky scums on bathtub and the body of that bathtub. If you are using it is for the drinking purpose, what happens? It disturbs the digestive system. That is, it is very effective. It is gives a bad effect to the digestive system, and it forms calcium oxalate in the formation of stones, especially observed in urinary tracts. And if you are using it for the cooking, what happens? Requires the more fuel and time, because some deposits are observed on that cooking material, on that cooking utensils, and it will give unpleasant taste. Means if you are using this hard water for that different purposes, I think these are the drawbacks. And when you are using it for the industrial purpose, what happens? I think there are different industries, water is required. Without water, I think we cannot run the industry. And that's why, for example, textile industry, sugar industry, dyeing industries, paper industries, pharmaceutical industries, I think require the water for the different processes. And it is not possible to get a soft water throughout. That's why we'll have to use the hard water. And one of the major drawback, I think, in steam generation that we are interested, means what are the drawbacks of this hard water in generation of steam. I think it one of the topic in our syllabus. So when you consider the hard water, what are the boiler troubles are observed due to the hard water? I think there are four ill effects. There are four ill effects or drawbacks of use of hard water. First is called as a sludge and scale formation, that you will have to learn this from this video. Caustic embrittlement means presence of a caustic substances and metal become brittle. It is one of the drawback that will have to come in coming videos. Priming and foaming and boiler corrosion. These are the four ill effects by use of hard water in generation of steam. In this video, we are mainly interested in learning sludge and scale formation. So here we are giving the sludge. Sludge is a loose slimy precipitate called as a sludge, and this formed due to the presence of suspended particle. And that is the picture showing this like this. I think black color line, black color layer is for the water, then yellow color is for the boiler wall, and whatever that middle portion, I think this is called as a loose slimy material. This is a soft material, loose material, and slimy, and in the form of precipitate. Just I am telling you the example for the sludge. In rainy season, when you see the color of the water from the river, I think generally it is a brown colored water. When you take that water in a mug and give the settlement period for that water, I think top layer of that water becomes clear, and at the bottom of this mug what happens, some precipitate will deposit it, and the color of that precipitate I think is a brown color, and this brown color precipitate consists of some solid particles, suspended particles, tiny particles, and that deposit I think it is called as a loose slimy precipitate, and that loose slimy precipitate I think is called as a sludge. It is called as a sludge. Why it is formed? It is formed by the substances which are greater solubility in hot water than the cold water in case of the generation of the steam. Means in short we say that sludge is a loose slimy material, and this loose slimy material is formed due to the presence of suspended as well as colloidal particles. So what are the reasons for the sludge? I think simple reason: presence of the total dissolved solid TDS, presence of colloidal particles, and along with that colloidal particle we say that suspended particles. So how can you prevent that? Prevention of the sludge: use of the water having very low quantity of dissolved solid, means try to filter the water through the suitable sieve size to avoid the presence of colloidal particles. Frequently blow down operation: just I told you that these colloidal particles or the suspended particles settle at the bottom of the container, and if you use the blow down operation, that suspended particles and colloidal particles will be removed from the bottom side and you get the clear water. Suppose these scales sludge are formed. What are the disadvantages of this sludge? What happens if they are deposited at the bottom of the container? When they are deposited at the bottom of the container, what happens? They form a one layer, and when you generate the steam and give the heat to the boiler, what happens? Some quantity of heat is absorbed by that layer that is formed at the bottom of the container, and then it will start boiling, means tend to require or tend to waste some portion of the heat, disturb the working of the boiler, sometimes may choke the pipe, because this sludge may choke the pipe due to the presence of that colloidal as well as suspended particle, and reduces the flow rate of boiler. Means these are the reasons for sludge. How can you prevent and disadvantage of this first part, that is called as a sludge. Now come to the second part, scale. I think in case of the scale, remember that hard adherent coating. What is scale? Scale is a hard adherent coating on inner wall of the boiler. For that I am telling you one simple example. I think in most of the organizations water coolers are installed to take water for the drinking purpose, or in farms we are using the steel glass for taking or for drinking the water, and if we are using that glass frequently, and when you are using that glass frequently, some days you can see the white color spots on that layer, and that white color spots I think are called as a scales. Is it possible to remove by a simple hand? I think no, you require to remove it and required a scrubber. What happens? How this process takes place? See here, it is given here. Atmosphere, from atmosphere if you get the CO2 and water, moist condition, it form carbonic acid. When it form that carbonic acid, see here, that carbonic acid decomposes or separates out into sometimes carbonate, bicarbonate and carbonate. This is the carbonate ion, this is the bicarbonate ion, and when it comes in contact with the calcium, what happens that it form a calcium carbonate as a white color precipitate, and that white color precipitate I think is called as a scale. And hard adherent coating on the surface of the boiler, we say that it is called as a scale. Means why this scale formation takes place? This scale formation takes place due to the presence of calcium, and that these are in contact with the carbonate and bicarbonate ion from the scales. So this is the process how this scale formation takes place. That is water, some dissolved minerals, that is dissolution and stabilization takes place, a supersaturation of that takes place, then nucleation process takes place, and then you start the formation of crystal growth, and that crystal growth convert into the hard adherent coating, I think called as a scale. That is the simple diagram for scale formation. So why it causes? There are 4 reasons for causes of the scale. Reasons for scale formation. First is the presence of calcium carbonate, presence of calcium bicarbonate. First is the presence of calcium bicarbonate. What happens when hard water is boiled? When hard water is boiled, and if hard water contains the calcium bicarbonate as one of the constituent, because hardness of water is caused due to the presence of bicarbonate and carbonates of calcium and magnesium. So suppose we say that it is the calcium bicarbonate is present, and when you heat the water for generation of the steam, what happens? Calcium carbonate is formed, white colored calcium carbonate is formed, and we are showing it in a downward arrow, indicate that precipitate is formed. Along with that, H2 and CO2 are released, and that white color scale, what white color spots are nothing but having chemical composition, and one of the chemical is I think CaCO3 calcium carbonate. Means that white color is due to the presence of calcium carbonate. Second, presence of insoluble calcium sulfate of high pressure in high pressure boilers. What happens as temperature increases? See here, at temperature initially 15 degrees centigrade, here 3200. What is that? 3200. This is 3200 ppm. As temperature increases to 33 degrees centigrade, is solubility is 55 ppm. As temperature 320, that 27 ppm. And what happens as temperature increases, the solubility of calcium sulfate decreases, and this is deposited in the form of white precipitate. Means that white color scales may be due to the formation of calcium sulfate. Third, presence of magnesium chloride. Third is the presence of magnesium chloride. What happens that magnesium chloride, when reacts with that water H2O, it form a magnesium hydroxide. It form a magnesium hydroxide in the form of precipitate, and HCl will release. What happens that magnesium hydroxide is a white colored layer, white color spot, and that white color spot may be now due to the presence of that first calcium carbonate, then maybe due to the presence of calcium sulfate, and now I think third that is due to the presence of magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide can be generated by thermal decomposition of magnesium bicarbonate also. And fourth one, due to the presence of silica. Whatever silica suspended particles are present, that silica in the form of insoluble calcium silicate and magnesium silicate, because calcium and magnesium ions are present in the hard water, and when they react with the silica particle, I think it form calcium silicate and magnesium silicate. Now from this I think you are able to learn what is the composition of scale. Scale is composition due to the presence of calcium carbonate, due to the presence of insolubility of calcium sulfate, due to the presence of magnesium hydroxide and calcium silicate and magnesium silicate. Means these are the 4 reasons for formation of scales by use of hard water in generation of steam. So how can you prevent the scale? The use of soft water is a simple remedy, Addition of sodium phosphate and sodium aluminate along with the tannin to the water, it form a one coating on the scale forming salts and avoid the formation of scale. Frequent blowdown operation is one of them. I think whatever parts that are adhere, I think you can remove by the blowdown operation. And what are the disadvantages? As it form the one layer on the surface of the boiler, I think you require to take some excess quantity of fuel because some of the heat is absorbed by that layer. Degradation of boiler material and increase the risk of accident. Reduces the efficiency of boiler and deposit on walls and condenses, and the boiler may explode it if cracks occurs in the scales. I mean, these are the prevention and disadvantages of scale. How can you prevent? That is, you can prevent the formation of scale by using a phosphate conditioning. What is phosphate conditioning? You will have to add some phosphate, that is for example phosphate compound like sodium phosphate and sodium metaphosphate, and if you add that sodium phosphate and sodium metaphosphate, I think you can avoid the formation of scale. Carbonate conditioning, addition of carbonate compound, that is sodium carbonate is one of them, that will reduces the formation of scale. Now calgon conditioning means if you add the sodium hexametaphosphate, I think called as a calgon. Sodium hexametaphosphate, I think called as a calgon, you can remove or you can prevent the formation of scale. Colloidal conditioning, spreading of the organic compound like tannin. Tannin and agar gel, it form a one of the layer on scale forming material on the in the colloidal conditioning. I think you can say that avoid the formation of scale. Sodium aluminate, remove all oil and silica, and complexometric method, I think using EDTA you can prevent the formation of scale. I think that video will give you the idea about what is sludge, composition of scale, how chemically scales are formed. So thank you for your patience listening.